Hello again, viewers. We'll be opening this episode's battles by freeing Manazurm from the Death Force invaders. Now, the featured tribe of the day will be the Nightborgs, a group of melee specialists.
Everyone try your best.
We open here with normal Knight, and while we've seen him in action before, I imagine he'll give a better performance against an enemy that doesn't completely outclass him. Normal Knight's pretty easy to use, as all he's got is his sword and a shield. The sword, which does slashes and can be charged for a combo, and the shield allows for shield toss, as well as defending against enemy attacks. Now, the toss can be used as both a follow-up to sword slashes, or as an opening for a sword combo. And whether you use it to open or close is dependent on the situation. Though, of course, you do need to be careful about throwing it away, as you will be defenseless without it. Sorry about that, Mana. A normal Knight's shield is kind of small, and as such it's a little difficult to rely on it for defense. Though, of course, any little bit helps, as most orcs don't get such powerful defenses. As you can see, I've blocked some of those sword slashes, and probably would have been defeated right there without it. But that's the end of normal, and now it's Chainsaw Knight. And Chainsaw Knight replaces the shield for a claw that can grab enemy wargs. And while most Nightborgs have a serious disadvantage against Airborgs, Chainsaw Knight's claw does give him a leg up in that situation. Now, while latched onto an enemy, Chainsaw Knight does gain a resistance to stun. It's not an immunity, and you still take the same amount of damage, so you do need to be careful. And as you can see, the chainsaw does a lot of damage, especially against grabbed Borgs, because they don't go flying. Now, we've been on the wrong end of a Chainsaw Knight before, in battles against Nakobe. Oh man, that's the wrong enemy. At least it's only a death ward. And she did make up for it. It's kind of the dangers of having to rely on the AI. But you can see she's at her Guard Witch, which gives enemies a barrier that blocks their long-range attacks, and gives allies a barrier that blocks long-range attacks from hitting them. I seem to have a bit of trouble hitting this red attacker. Still, compared to most other Nightborgs, I'm doing pretty well. And thanks to that hit from the Demon Samurai over there, I was able to get the height needed. Demon Samurai are special Borgs in that they gain power from any Borg that's defeated while they're on the field. Well, Chainsaw Knight's not due for much longer. But I think I can take one of them with me. No, and that's his end. Now we open with Hatchet Knight. And while Hatchet Knight is a melee specialist like other Nightborgs, he does have one special trick. Yeah. You can charge and throw hatchets at any time, but of course during Power Burst, you can basically fill the screen with them. And these hatchets hit a bunch of times for a good amount of damage. So it makes him a bit better at long range than you would expect.
We showed them! Yay! We did it!
Still, a victory is a victory. And we even got some prizes. Red Attacker Crystal. Our own Demon Samurai. Oh, even an alt color. We continue our offensive by clearing Kakeru's home. I always thought it strange how the Death Force could never really capitalize on their ability to get into the protagonist's homes. But I suppose you can't really complain about incompetent villains in a game like this.
I'm nervous!
We open the fight with Sword Knight, basically a complete upgrade of last battle's normal Knight. He costs an extra 100 GF energy, and with that gets a larger sword and shield, making it easier to defend against enemy attacks, and giving greater range and damage to yours.
Did I
He's still fairly slow, as most Nightborgs are. And as such, navigating wide areas like this stage are kind of obnoxious. Fortunately, Kakeru helps shore up that weakness with his Ninja Borgs. The strategy for Sword Knight is basically the same as normal Knight, although you're a little hardier and do a little more damage. You know, close the distance using your shield to block enemy attacks, and either stun them with a shield toss to open them for a sword combo, or use the shield toss as a follow-up to a sword attack. Of course, it doesn't help when your shield misses, but what can you do? Generally, dashing isn't quite as helpful with Nightborgs as it is with other Borgs, as their slow speed makes them rely on their shield for defense, and thus you'll be walking a bit longer. Of course, even then, attacks can get past your shield. It doesn't make you invincible, it just makes you tougher. The Sword Knight made it to the non-death Borgs of the battle, although it doesn't like to last much longer. And next up is Vampire Knight. And we've seen them before with Nakobe and his partner. And he replaces a shield with a second sword, and plays more like a Musha Borg than the other Nightborgs. He also moves considerably faster than them. Of course, his real special ability is the ability to drain health from enemies that he hits with his swords. Any melee attack will drain health from the enemy it hits, though the big source of that will be his X spin attack. You'll generally want to hit the enemy with either a slash, either from long range or close, before going for a spin, as unless they're some way immobilized, the spin is pretty easy to dodge, and doesn't get too many hits just throwing it out. Vampire Knight's ability to drain health does give him a bit more longevity compared to most other Borgs. Though of course that's balanced out by his loss of health at 1 a second. If you can catch an enemy in the corner like that, it's a great way to build up your health. Fortunately, the drain cannot defeat you, and the enemy will have to hit you that last time. And you can always bring yourself back from the brink as long as you've got an enemy strong enough to take a few hits. Generally, Borgs like that army robot, tougher Borgs than Death Borgs, or be your main source of HP.
Did I do that? Yeah!
You can also drain health from allies, but the reduced damage from ally hits doesn't make it a winning proposition. Oh, and another Demon Samurai. Next up is Hammer Knight, and if you remember Hammer Robot, he's got the same type of attack, except he only has a single one as opposed to two. Hammer Knight also replaces his shield toss with a spinning attack. And if you manage to catch an enemy, it can do a lot of damage. Though, like Vampire Knight spin, it's a little difficult to connect, and you'll generally want to rely on your B attack. As an aside, Hammer Knight is one of the Borgs that doesn't have a melee attack. All he does is toss out his ball. Fortunately, it does a decent amount of damage. And with that, it's victory.
Alright! We're awesome!
Oh, no prizes though. Now that our homes are safe, we can finally start clearing the rest of Safari Town. Starting with helping Usagi at the marketplace. We'll be opening this battle with Spike Knight, a modified Hammer Knight. The big differences between Hammer and Spike are that Spike has a melee attack, and Spike can also turn into the Spike Ball, Again, we've seen the board before, but this time we're using it. Well, the ability to damage enemies by just rolling into them is pretty powerful. You do lose the defensive advantage of a shield while you're in that. Fortunately, you can cancel it at any time, so if you get caught in a wall or something, you're not completely helpless. Spike Knight also has the spin attack, although it's mapped to his B-button charge. And as such, it's a little more difficult to throw out on command, but it does charge fairly quickly. Again, the shield only protects you if you're facing the enemy. And unfortunately, Spike Knight can do a lot of damage, just like Hammer Knight. The ball doesn't make you immune to stun, although it might seem like it. You can be knocked out of it if you're hit enough times, or with a powerful enough attack. Unfortunately, most Deathborgs don't have that kind of power. Well, it looks like we're into the real Borgs of this battle, and it looks to be a bunch of girl Borgs. The shield can protect you from explosions, though with enemies so much faster than I am, I'm kind of at a disadvantage even with my shield. Well, I stayed in that ball a little too long, and now I'm down to Elemental Knight. Now this Elemental Knight is metal, and as such he's got a little more HP than another Borg would of the same level. Though aside from that, it's just cosmetic. Elemental Knight plays differently from most other knights, in that he doesn't have a shield. He just throws his fist out, and his sword does pretty good damage. When your fist is out, hitting the B button again will automatically do a melee attack whether you're in range or not. You have to wait for it to return before you can throw it again. Fortunately, Elemental Knight moves fairly quickly for a Nightborg. And also the fact that he falls to pieces when he tosses his sword with the X attack is a fairly good defensive option. Though you are vulnerable for a few seconds after your sword returns, so you do need to be careful with throwing it out. Now, Power Burst isn't quite the instant win button it is for most Borgs with Elemental Knight because he doesn't have ammo to refill automatically. He still has to wait for his things to come back before he can attack again. Unfortunately, the speed boost and damage boost are still pretty powerful, I feel like, effects to use. It looks like we're down to the last of the enemies, a Thunder Robot. I'm playing a bit more cautiously than I would otherwise, because I definitely don't want to lose in the last enemy. As you may have seen, the sword does no damage on the return trip, and as such it's not quite as useful as you think it would be. Though losing your hitbox is pretty powerful, it does let you dodge effects that you couldn't otherwise. But hey, we've won.
Alright! Nice combo!
Oh, we even got some prizes. Another Thunder Robot. Oh, and even an alternate barrier girl. We'll be closing up this episode's battles by helping Tsutomu save the elementary school. Oh, don't be like that, Rush. And education is important. Now we'll be opening this battle with Imperial Knight, a pretty powerful Nightborg in that he's split across 3 capsules. Imperial Knight can be a bit tricky to use compared to most Nightborgs, in that he moves pretty slowly, but his attacks come out pretty fast. And that disappearing effect on your ground dashes, purely cosmetic. You can still be hit out of it. Fortunately, that spinning attack, which is using X in the air, is a good way to cover ground, though you are vulnerable when coming out of it, so you don't want to use it right in an enemy's face. Like most other Sword Nightborgs, he can charge up his attacks to do a double swing combo. Though unlike most other Nightborgs, his normal combos are a lot longer. You can also see the big difference in that he carries 2 swords and 2 shields. He's also pretty powerful in that he can cancel most of his attacks into either charge attack. Though I'm not really that good at using that ability, so I'm not giving the best demonstration of it here. And normal slashes with the X button can throw out sword waves, though those are kind of weak and kind of difficult to hit with as they don't have the best tracking. Though they do a good job of tacking on damage. And also extending combos, if that's the kind of thing that matters to you. I tried to get fancy there and messed it up. And it cost me Imperial Knight. Looks like we're down to Axe Knight here. Yet another upgrade, this time of Hatchet Knight. He both does more damage, and his axes charge faster than Hatchet Knight's hatchets. Well, of course, you pay for that, and that he's much more expensive. It looks like there's the protege now. Though I do kind of bully him here with Power Burst. I would still win that exchange even if I didn't have it. And as you can see, he can also fill the screen with his high damage large axes. Honestly, Axe Knight is kind of one of my favorite Borgs. I mean, those high damage big axes just cover so much of the screen. And you can cancel spins and other attacks with them. Oh, looks like we've got ourselves a mirror match. I'm kind of staying in the air because I don't want to get caught by a stray axe or hatchet. Like what almost happened there. As getting hit with them on the ground can do a lot of damage really quickly. In the air you get knocked away a bit more, and as such they're not as powerful. But it looks like we've won.
Alright. Well, it's obvious.
Oh, we got ourselves a turret that I'll never use. Oh, and another Hatchet Knight. Might use that one. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.